Welcome back to my channel. Today, we explore the value of specific coins, the top 4 most valuable Abraham wheat penny coins, value in today's market. So let's get started. First up, the 1943 Abraham Lincoln steel penny, but with a twist. This one has the D mint mark and is in dirty condition. You may think its value is low because of its state, but trust me, it's worth more than you think. Let's find out just how much. Now, you might be familiar with the 1943 steel pennies. Those were made during World War II as part of the US government's efforts to conserve copper for ammunition. But did you know that a 1943 penny with a D mint mark, even in dirty condition, could be worth a lot more than face value? Stick around and I'll explain why. In 1943, due to wartime metal shortages, the US Treasury decided to produce pennies using steel instead of copper. The 1943 steel penny was minted in large numbers, with over 1 billion produced. These coins have a distinctive steel appearance, which is quite different from the usual copper pennies. Most of these pennies were mass-produced, but because they were made from steel, they're not as common today in great condition. Now, what makes the 1943 steel penny with a D mint mark interesting is that it was minted in Denver, and while many of these coins are still around, they are far from being considered worthless. Here's the key. Even if your coin is in dirty condition, like this one here, it doesn't necessarily mean its value is low. While a dirty penny won't fetch as much as a pristine one, the rarity of the 1943 steel penny still plays a big role in its market value. The 1943 penny with a D mint mark is still valuable in today's market, even with some dirt and wear. Generally, a 1943 steel penny in good or fine condition can be worth around $1 to $3, but don't be fooled, even a dirty one can be worth up to $5 or more, depending on its overall condition. Now, the condition matters a lot. If your coin is in circulated or worn condition, you're looking at a price of about $1 to $2. But a well-worn penny with a legible mint mark and clear features could be worth around $3 to $5. Dirty coins like this one tend to fall into that lower variety, or if it's in especially rare variety, it could fetch more. So what about the mint mark? The D mint mark, indicating it was struck in Denver, is significant. The 1943 pennies minted in Denver are not as rare as some other mint marks from that year, like the S mint mark from San Francisco, but they still stand out due to their historical importance and their place in American numismatic history. Even in dirty condition, a 1943 steel penny with a D mint mark can be worth more in the right market. Coin collectors and investors keep a close eye on these, and prices can vary depending on the coin's condition, rarity, and demand. At an auction or with a dealer, prices can also fluctuate. In general, expect to pay $1 to $5 for a common 1943 steel penny in average circulated condition. But if it's in better condition or has a special variety, it could go for $10 or even more. So, if you have a 1943 Lincoln steel penny with a D mint mark, even in a dirty condition, it's still worth taking a closer look at. It might not be a fortune just yet, but it's a great piece of history, and you never know, it might be worth more than you think. Next up, the 1946 Abraham Lincoln penny without a mint mark, and what it's worth today, even in extra damaged condition. So you've got a 1946 penny lying around, and it's seen better days, huh? Well, even if it's got some extra damage, it could still be worth more than just its face value. Let's take a closer look at why that's the case and how much this coin could be worth in today's market. First, a bit of history. The 1946 Abraham Lincoln penny was minted after World War II, a time when the U.S. economy was recovering from the war. The penny features the iconic image of President Abraham Lincoln on the obverse and the familiar wheat ears on the reverse. This was a common design that lasted until 1958. Now, this penny doesn't have a mint mark, which means it was struck at the Philadelphia Mint. The lack of a mint mark is quite common for pennies from that time, but it's the condition of the coin that determines its value. Let's talk about how extra damage affects the coin's worth. Now, when we say extra damage, we're talking about coins that have been worn, scratched, dented, or even corroded over time. While this may make the coin look a little rough, it doesn't always mean it's worthless. Some collectors actually seek out damaged coins for their historical significance and character. Extra damage can happen for all sorts of reasons. It could have been dropped, exposed to the elements, or just been in circulation for many years. And while it's not in pristine condition, the 1946 penny still has value due to its age and the fact that it's part of American coinage history. So, how much is a 1946 penny worth today, even in extra damage condition? Well, let's break it down. A 1946 penny without a mint mark, in average circulated condition, meaning it's a bit worn but still readable, is typically worth around 3 to 5 cents. But with extra damage, we're looking at a slight drop in value. Even with the damage, a 1946 penny like this could still be worth around 10 to 15 cents, sometimes even a little more, depending on the severity of the damage. It's not a huge fortune, but it's definitely more than face value. Even though this 1946 penny has extra damage, it still holds some value for a couple of key reasons. First, the coin is made from copper, which can make it valuable to collectors interested in the metal itself. Second, it's a piece of history representing the post-war era and the early years of the Lincoln cent design. Coins like this may not be high-ticket items, but they are still part of a broader collection that can increase in value over time, especially if the damage is less severe than it looks, or if the coin has any special characteristics, like a rare die variety. Now, let's talk about the current market for these coins. Even in extra damage condition, 1946 pennies are still in demand from collectors who specialize in circulated coins or those looking for unique pieces with history. For example, a heavily damaged 1946 penny could still fetch a few dollars if it's part of a collection of well-worn coins. But don't expect it to break the bank unless it's in better condition or there's something unique about it. So if you've got a 1946 penny without a mint mark that's seen better days, don't toss it out just yet. Even in extra damage condition, it still has some value, typically around 10 to 15 cents, maybe more, depending on its specific wear and tear. Next up, the 1955 Abraham Lincoln penny. This coin might be one you have in your collection, or maybe you found one while hunting through your spare change. But did you know that a 1955 penny in extra fine condition, without a mint mark, can be worth much more than face value? Stick around as we uncover its true worth in today's market. That's right, folks, this 1955 Lincoln penny, even without a mint mark, can be a real treasure if it's in extra fine condition. In this video, I'm going to break down exactly how much you can expect to get for it and why collectors are so interested in this particular coin. Let's get started. First, a little history. The 1955 Lincoln cent is part of the famous Wheat series, which ran from 1909 until 1958. The obverse of the coin features President Abraham Lincoln, and the reverse shows 2 ears of wheat, hence the name Wheat Penny. This design was a staple of U.S. currency for nearly 50 years. Now, the key thing about the 1955 penny is that it was minted at the Philadelphia Mint, which means it doesn't have a mint mark. This is important because while there are other Lincoln pennies with mint marks, the lack of one doesn't necessarily reduce its value, especially if the coin is in extra fine condition. Let's quickly talk about what extra fine means. In the world of numismatics, extra fine refers to a coin that shows minimal wear. It's a coin that's been in circulation, but still has most of its original details intact. For a 1955 penny, this means you will still clearly see Lincoln's features, the details of the wheat stalks on the reverse, and the text on the coin will be sharp and clear. So, an extra fine 1955 penny will have a bit of wear, but it will still have a lot of the original detail, unlike one that's heavily worn down, where the text and imagery might be difficult to make out. Now, let's get to the good stuff, the value. A 1955 penny in extra fine condition without a mint mark can actually be worth a lot more than you might think. In today's market, you can expect it to fetch anywhere from $1 to $3 on average, depending on its exact state and the demand from collectors. But here's the interesting part. Because the 1955 penny is part of a popular series and has a lot of demand among collectors, a coin in extra fine condition, especially if it's well scented and the details are crisp, can even go for $5 or more in some cases. So, factors affect the price of a 1955 penny in extra fine condition. There are a few things collectors and dealers look for. First, the overall condition. The sharper the details, the higher the value. If your penny has been well cared for, it could fetch a premium. Second, the eye appeal matters. If your penny has a nice patina or looks particularly attractive, collectors may be willing to pay more for it. Lastly, it's all about market demand. A well-circulated coin might not have the same value, but as interest in Lincoln cents grows, prices for well-preserved coins like this can increase. While the 1955 Lincoln penny isn't as rare as some other coins, it's still highly valued due to its role in American history. The coin was minted in the early 1950s, a period of post-war prosperity, and it remains a symbol of that era. Collectors often seek out these coins to complete their collections or to invest in them as a piece of American numismatic history. And while the 1955 penny doesn't have the same high-value price tag as some rare errors or key date coins, it's still an important part of the wheat cent series and can hold its own in terms of value. So, if you have a 1955 penny in extra fine condition, even without the mint mark, you've got yourself a valuable coin on your hands. It could be worth anywhere from $1 to $3, with some potentially reaching $5 or more if it's in excellent condition. Not bad for a penny that's over 60 years old. Next up, the 1944 wheat penny, but this isn't just any wheat penny. This one has no mint mark, is blackened, and comes with some damage. How much is it worth today? Let's find out. The 1944 wheat penny, often confused with the famous steel pennies from 1943, is part of a series that was minted from 1909 to 1958. The coin features the iconic wheat stalks on the reverse side and Abraham Lincoln's profile on the front. Now, the key factor we're looking at today is this specific coin, a 1944 wheat penny with no mint mark. This means it was minted in Philadelphia. But what really makes this one unique is its condition, damaged and heavily blackened. Normally, the value of a 1944 wheat penny would depend on its condition. A well-preserved one could be worth a few cents, but when you add damage and discoloration like this one, things change. Typically, the value of a 1944 wheat penny without a mint mark in decent condition is around 10 to 20 cents. However, when we are talking about a blackened, damaged coin like this, the value drops significantly. Coins in poor condition like this one, whether from being exposed to harsh elements, cleaned improperly, or simply worn down over time, typically sell for only a few cents, often less than $1. To be more precise, this particular 1944 wheat penny with no mint mark in blackened and damaged condition could be worth anywhere between 5 to 25 cents. The key here is that even in poor condition, these pennies hold some numismatic interest, especially for collectors of unusual or rare finds. But remember, condition is everything in the world of coin collecting. A coin in excellent shape could be worth much more, but once a coin is damaged or heavily worn, its value significantly decreases. If you happen to come across a 1944 wheat penny in better condition without any damage and with no mint mark, you might be looking at a value closer to $1 or more, depending on the market. So, while your blackened, damaged 1944 wheat penny may not make you rich, it's still a fascinating piece of American history. Keep an eye on your pennies, and who knows, you might find a rare gem hiding in plain sight. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more coin collecting content. See you next time. Happy collecting!